We are incredibly excited to be here. Today, I have the amazing, the head of everything incredible, I would say, at Better Media, Dustin Wasner. Dustin, how are you?
I am doing awesome. Thank you for having me on here. It's a pleasure.
Well, we're here to celebrate for the most part because at the recent Amazon Advertising Developer Summit, you actually walked away as the hackathon winner. What does that feel like?
It felt really great. I mean, there were a lot of really smart people at the Dev Summit that I know they can do a lot of amazing things. So to be able to put together an idea, take off and landing to my house and do something that's hopefully is helpful to the community feels really good.
I'm going to be honest, I get really claustrophobic on flights, so I refuse to work on the flight or even use my brain. If we're being completely transparent, I try to just sleep. So the fact that you're able to accomplish all of this while in air is all the more impressive, in my opinion.
Yes, it was fun.
Let's kind of talk about Developer Summit in general. Like, what is the purpose of Amazon playing a Developer Summit? What type of people are in that room? What does that look like?
Yeah, definitely different than a lot of the other events that Amazon does. For instance, we just got done with Accelerate. We have Unbox coming up, and those are big rollouts for various groups of sellers or advertisers. But the Dev Summit in particular really focuses on a lot of the tech rollouts around the APIs, around Marketing Stream, around AMC, and then gets together a lot of folks like me who are in more product management to give us the kind of updates specifically to what's going on there. And then every once in a while, they'll throw in a fun little challenge like this hackathon around Marketing Stream.
How much is that hackathon you just submitting really great ideas that we're probably going to see an ad console in a few months?
Well, the one that I did that ended up winning, I don't think we'll end up seeing that for quite some time in ad console. I'm sure we can get into the details of what I did, why I did it, but that's one of the things that I've kind of focused on. And I know that around a lot of the tech that you and I build, that I build, that we discuss here at BTR Media, we're never trying to duplicate what's in the ad console, but rather either add something new or find something that they're doing that could be a little bit more efficiently done.
Yeah, 100%. Now, 3 to 4 years ago, I feel like when I was primarily managing out of ad console, I was such a big fan of managing out of ad console because we had access to things like bulk. And also it was an ad console first rollout mentality, I felt like. I think we've seen a shift from Amazon for one, but just everything that I think you've dove into and having a summit like the Developer Summit, I think gives you more insight into this. Amazon's rolling out a lot of things that are API first, and that's relatively new, I would say.
Yeah, they are getting into that. I'm seeing that more and more. I still think there's kind of a mindset in the space of the API has this like magic data set that if you implement this, it's going to transform things. It's not really quite that extreme. Like, for instance, the big one at the Dev Summit was definitely Marketing Stream, which everybody knows mainly in the industry for day parting because we get the hourly segmentation through those data sets. But now even we have hourly data in bulk files. So if you're going to try to incorporate some kind of day parting or week parting, you really don't even need to have Marketing Stream for that either. There are highly beneficial points to it. But getting back to your point, yeah, we are seeing things, especially around the Marketing Stream data sets that are contained in the API that you cannot get in ad console.
I feel like as we see Amazon move into this direction of not only being a search first, being a little bit more audience-based, seeing more with creative, that's also going to layer into what we have access to.
Yeah, I would agree, especially if we see a lot of these ad types having optimization rules. We're seeing something like almost like an auto campaign and sponsor brands where we can have theme targets, a lot of bid automation rules that you can now set up. So I would definitely agree with you. It's not necessarily how it used to be, but we are seeing more of a full funnel, more automated kind of approach to things versus the old days.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of just setting the foundation here for those who are going to be listening later on, it is possible to manage millions of dollars of spend with bulk uploads. I want to say we got close to $100 million in spend a year being managed through bulk in a really good, efficient macro system. The reason you need to rely on a bulk system or a software system is because bid management at scale needs to be systematic. You cannot just go in and arbitrarily update bids based on what you intuitively think feels good at the time. So for anyone listening who does not have a software partner, you don't have to have one because we have more templates in ad console. We have more opportunities with bulk uploads. But having a software partner or an agency with a SaaS internally, externally, can be incredibly beneficial. And once you start spending more than, I would say, like 10,000 a month, you almost need to start relying on those partners, because API first, for one, but for two, it takes out a lot of complexity that we've seen being added into Amazon advertising. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the software providers in the space, feel free to check out my LinkedIn post where we vet the top software providers based off the industry feedback, or shoot us a message on the best way to utilize the certain partners. I think Dustin and I have probably done demos of almost every single one of them at this point, or consulted for a lot of them. So more than happy to help in that area. But for Better Media specifically, the reason Dustin is so incredible at what he does is because he's built the fundamental bid management operating system for our company. So when a client comes to us and they need customization in their reporting because they have segmented campaigns by strategy, he's able to build that. When we start looking at things like, why don't we have a dual dashboard for search and DSP in one viewpoint? Because Ad Console doesn't currently provide that. Dustin's able to commingle that data set and make it happen. So that's why it's incredible having you on this podcast, because, you know, if we're just talking about acronyms, AMS, Amazon Marketing Stream, which is now also AMS, AMC, DSP, you can help unpack that and take something very technical and complex, but speak to it in a way that I think the whole industry understands. So kind of starting with that, and Amazon Marketing Stream in general, can you just break it down in the most simple fashion, one sentence? What is Amazon Marketing?
It is a means to stream your data into your data warehouse rather than making batch requests, comma, that's still my sentence, while seeing target data, budget usage, other data sets on a higher granularity level than anything we have in the Ad Console. For instance, seeing performance at the placement and at the hour.
So you think about the complexity that having access to Amazon Marketing Stream can provide, because now not only are you updating bids correlated with the keyword, you're updating bids correlated with the keyword, correlated with the placement, correlated with the hour of the day. It gets really complex. That's, you know, some of the softwares have built their whole marketing off of custom AI strategies utilizing Amazon Marketing Stream, but in reality, it's like, okay, well, we'll argue that later. I'll put you on blast later. But having access to Amazon Marketing Stream can be really powerful because of this insight. Dustin, what was your hack? Like, can you give us a high-level overview of why you thought Amazon Marketing Stream could be used for something outside of day parting?
So everybody in the industry knows Marketing Stream because of the day parting features. We have the data to finally act on hourly adjustments or weekly adjustments. What is less known is that we have this other data set that will give you real-time updates on the amount of spend that a campaign has generated in increments of 5%. So what I thought was, why don't I promote this data set that is far less talked about, but is still highly beneficial? Because, for instance, around tentpole events all through quarter four, or even if you're focusing on things like ranking campaigns, conquest campaigns, where you want to be able to see in real time, and you're managing, say, 12 accounts, but you don't have time to go into the ad counts to click into each one. Okay, I want to get a message in my Slack DM, for instance, that says, all of these ranking campaigns are at 80% of total budget for their daily spend. Where I thought that this would be beneficial is because people know that the budget usage data set exists. They kind of understand it. It's lesser known, but I thought if I give an example of how to set something on top of this with a very basic campaign tagging system and a means to wrangle all that data so that you're only getting these messages to specific account managers for specific campaigns that they want to see and nothing else, it cuts out the noise and it helps them manage more efficiently.
Incredible. I'm going to throw out an example. We've managed in some of the highest traffic CPG categories, and we will create campaigns specifically focused on winning a placement on the page. So think of a billboard on the side of a highway. You buy that billboard for the month of December to promote your Christmas gear, right? We run that same strategy with Amazon ads. We'll choose certain placements where we want to win, maybe regardless of outcome, if the client has the budget, or within certain parameters, CPC and ROAS. So what Dustin's saying is you take your highest traffic periods of time, and he can build a system. He has built a system that allows you to see those increments and get the notification to your Slack. So you're not having to log into Ad Console, filter by client, filter by campaign, filter by budget tab, right? That's a 7-step process just to have awareness of where we're at. these types of systems and the way that Dustin is thinking about the business is, I would say, what's been the foundation to making Better Media so successful, truly. Because it's not just thinking about Amazon advertising from an ACoS ROAS perspective, right? Anyone can optimize a bid to our ACoS target, anyone. It's just basic math.
Mm-hmm.
But not everyone can build a system that allows our account managers to manage this efficiently, but also that builds a system that allows us to communicate with our clients and our brands so they have a formal understanding of everything we're doing. So just to summarize how incredible the way you think about this is.
Yeah, to go back to your billboard analogy, that's a really good one, I think, because imagine as an account manager, you have 12 billboards that you're in charge of. Now, you can go drive by that billboard to make sure that your ad is still showing. But what we've done is essentially create an airplane you can drive in and you can see all 12 at once.
Yeah.
So this allows our account managers to do something that maybe the clients themselves don't even notice is going on in the account, where these important campaigns are running out of budget. They're not aware of it. The account manager's not aware of it, but it does impact performance. So with this kind of visibility with these tools, it allows us to not only manage more efficiently, but just more thoroughly overall to make sure that the attention is being given to where it needs to in the account and nothing is getting overlooked.
100%. And I think a fundamental principle that we've used to build these methodologies is, on one hand, like 80-20. Like, what can we build systematically that is going to allow us to scale, but also considering that the free time we have can go into things that really move the needle, the things that the clients are concerned with. You know, when Amazon rolls out their new AI video builder, our team can go focus on that and figure out how to strategically incorporate that with the systems, because we know that the tech is doing its job. It's updating the clients, it's updating our team, and it's also hitting our ROAS and our budget targets, which is important.
Yeah, it's all about the lowest hanging fruit in my point of view, from when I think, because I was an account manager myself, so I can put myself in their position. What is the lowest hanging fruit that will make the biggest impact for the clients that we're managing, to help those clients have thorough management, efficient management? And if I can create something that gets rid of a lot of low-hanging fruit, we can just go further and further up, so that the low-hanging fruit is really stuff that's really going to take them to the next level, as far as our account managers being able to focus on strategy rather than monitoring campaigns to see if they're out of budgets. $10 an hour work versus $1,000 an hour work. We want them to be able to focus on the most efficient things for the clients.
Dustin, you've been working on our tech for quite some time now, and it's always improving. There's always different iterations. Amazon forces a rate of change that makes everyone's lives more difficult and exciting. What has been the most exciting thing that you think you've built? What was the biggest feeling of accomplishment since starting with us?
I would have to say our tagging system has integrated throughout the entire organization in ways that I never have foreseen. And I've seen a lot of other SaaS providers' tagging systems, and they don't quite work the same as ours, because I believe ours integrates throughout our entire internal SaaS tool in a way that I'm yet to see. And it's helped us manage everything from bid ops to reporting and so many other things, search term scraping, etc. So I feel like that has helped us lift a lot heavier load a lot easier and give clients a greater level of satisfaction with their management.
I shouted this out already, but it's the understanding of what it's like to be a seller and account manager that helps with that level of integration, because the tagging system isn't just for high-level reporting. The tagging system boils down to our budget distribution model. Where are we prioritizing month over month, and how rapidly are we changing that based on clients' goals and expectations? It boils down to our bid optimization system. A new product launch should be optimized very different than a historical product. It also does boil down to content education and the conversations we're having with clients. Clients like to have things categorized in a very specific way. And it can be hard to take a client's portfolio and summarize it to a text goals. And you're kind of fixing that middle ground. You're saying, hey, we can take your portfolio and give you reporting on your portfolio, but also level up our current reporting. And I think that's what becomes really powerful, especially as we start considering things like DSP and ANC and what the full funnel looks like. a tagging system will be able to also integrate into those methodologies, which helps a lot when you're starting to ask those questions around incrementality and attribution.
Yeah, 100%. And although I got a lot of personal satisfaction out of building this and seeing it integrate thoroughly, I've gotten an equal amount of satisfaction in seeing so many of our enterprise clients be literal raving fans of our tagging system because of the way it can break out reporting in a way that no other agency has been able to, where they can finally have insights to specific product lines, sheet sizes, whatever it is, they have that breakout so they can compare the performance and being able to implement that into bid ops. So if you have different target ACOS or ROAS goals per product line or per price point, that's something that all flows into as well. So it's been a 5 out of 5 with clients for sure.
Most definitely. And I think we've also set the standard on strategic management and no longer viewing Amazon advertising as a silo, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about how you utilize Amazon advertising to influence your organic presence and your BSR. We've talked a lot about how you shouldn't just run to an ACOS target and turn your back. Like there are certain campaigns that are for certain objectives and those need to be flexible, as well as the flexibility as mentioned earlier. Instead of, I think historically when we got started, it was pretty much like, here's an auto campaign, here's a branded campaign, here's a category campaign, and maybe a few product targeting campaigns, and that was it. Now there's so much more complexity in this space, and we're able to provide that direct reporting to say, hey, your branded campaign is getting 20% of your budget and has a $5 ROAS. Your non-branded campaign is at XYZ. Your ranking campaign's at XYZ. And that level of detail also helps produce buy-in internally with the company because they're very confident and trustworthy that their dollars are being spent in a way that's in the best interest of a brand. Other agencies send a weekly or monthly report saying you have a $3 ROAS and $100,000 in spend. Things are good to go. And we're breaking it down and helping educate their internal teams to make the conversations a lot more strategic and beneficial.
Yeah, and it makes everything with being an account manager so much easier because you can tell the story to the client. And what I mean by that is when you have a report that breaks everything out as far as like the funnel steps or the customer journey, everyone wants a higher ROAS. Everyone wants to spend less and get more. But the reality is you can't have that all the time. So when you have good reporting that gives you insight to that, you say, okay, here's the amount of budget that we have. Here's how the performance is at every step of the way. It gives us that insight and the ability to communicate that to the client and does generate that trust, which I think is, earned and deserved because it's difficult when you go to other agencies and you don't have this kind of insight. And the managers might be basing things off of more intuition rather than hard data.
Intuition, yes. What are you most excited about in the future, next 12 months?
Well, from a API perspective, they're creating a unified API. So for those who are familiar with how the API works, you've got different versions. So you've got different ad types. Sponsor brands campaigns are on version 4, while sponsored display targets are on version 2. Mm-hmm. All the headers and the body for all these requests are all totally different, and they're finally creating one unified one, which they announced that at the Dev Summit. I've been able to be involved in some of the Q&A around that, and it's been really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that because it's going to make future build outs with any additions to pipelines far, far easier. As far as outside of the tech world, I'm pretty excited to see how this whole AMC without DSP evolves. I think that's going to be really meaningful for a lot of sellers to be able to get insights. And there's also discussion talk that they relayed at the Dev Summit about being able to do some kind of audience targeting in sponsored products. So when you can get a path to purchase report, you can see your most efficient path. You serve a sponsor brands ad, and then right after that, you're serving the specific sponsored products campaign. There's no way to actually do that right now, but the talk is in there to be able to do that in the future. So that's going to really just balloon strategy in a way that I think we haven't seen yet.
Most definitely. For those who are unfamiliar, AMC is Amazon Marketing Cloud. Mm-hmm. And AMC historically has been accessible to brands that are utilizing DSP, right? DSP is where you get a lot of the audience insights that are the biggest unlock with AMC right now, in my opinion. AMC is going to be rolled out some point between now and Unboxed or thereafter for those who are not investing in DSP, which is a huge opportunity. For those who haven't used AMC at all, or maybe you're not spending on DSP, I think there's two big advantages to leaning into Amazon Marketing Cloud. It's audiences and it's analytics. That's the power. So on one hand, you get analytics to things like ad type overlap, path to purchase. Ad type overlap is going to be great for those who are just running sponsored ads, because then you can see when I run sponsored products and sponsored brands, my conversion rate's 5% higher than just sponsored products, similar to that path to purchase. The flip side that Dustin was mentioning is the audience insights. So on the DSP side, some of the audiences that we can pull with AMC and target are everyone who added to cart in the last 365 days but did not purchase. And I want to put a big asterisk around everyone, because AMC pulls in your retail and your customer insights, not just advertising data. So if we have opportunity to do that on the sponsored product side, it could be a huge unlock for brands, because it's going to allow us to get even more granular. Now, on one hand, is that a good thing? Like, PPC is already so bottom of the funnel. Someone searched, typed something in, and then found your ad, and then ended up making a purchase. So do we need to add an additional level of granularity? I don't know, but I think it would be really cool from a targeting perspective to have that level of unlock.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm looking forward to it. I think right now, the audience creation portion, that's definitely helpful for all DSP advertisers. But at the moment, as AMC is, I feel like the analytics are really most powerful if you're a client that runs a full funnel customer journey, multi-click journey, as opposed to somebody who's just running DSP remarketing. You're focused entirely on bottom of the funnel. And that's where a lot of those insights are going to be most meaningful. But once we have access with sponsored ads, I think I would agree completely that the overlap report is really going to give us insight as to how, if you're running sponsored display versus not, how that overlap is going to impact ROAS overall.
We audit a ton of brands. You speak to a lot of brands. What do you think that they're missing when it comes to finding an ad tech partner or utilizing an ad tech? Is it an over-reliance on a feature, or thinking that day parting is going to change the game when it's not? Do you see any misconceptions out there?
I've been inside of a lot of SaaSes, and what I have found is I think that most of them are significantly more overly complicated than they need to be. I don't know how else to word that. We've been using a basic formula, we as a community, as a space, to hit a target ACOS for the last 10 years. Now, that's not going to get you 100% of the way there, but basic algebra really will get you 85 to 90% of the way there. There's a lot of things that you can add on top of it, day parting, etc. But I guess the message I would say, or the way to answer your question, is don't overcomplicate it. And I have found often that when you get too far into the weeds with any specific thing, whether it be bulk launching, search term harvesting, bid ops especially, there's almost always some area you can be putting your thought energy or time or money into that's lower hanging fruit that will move the needle more than just going all in, getting so granular with things, so specific with things, that I think just keeping an eye on making sure that you're not doing that is helpful.
1,000,000%. It's so easy to get caught up in shiny object syndrome. And you also have to consider what is most marketable for a company. If a SaaS is going online and saying, I have the absolute best AI day parting methodology, you kind of have to tilt your head, be like, why is this the only company in the space marketing this when we all have access to the same API? Are they that much smarter than everyone else? And like, at the end of the day, like you said, is it necessary? I managed by hand $10 million worth of spend at my first agency with zero ability to utilize bulk because I didn't understand macros, and zero SaaS. And I hit my ROAS target and spent my budget at the end of the day, which was the two biggest KPIs. And that was with me going in by hand using the same basic algebra formula you're just discussing to optimize. There's a search term report, but I would open 30 of the top spending tabs every day. And I was still running single ad groups, thankfully. So I'd open up all 30 ad groups, filter top down by spend, and just optimize anything outside of target.
Yeah, I remember being in that position as well, and I learned macros pretty quickly, but I found that it really didn't take all that much. You know, there's a lot of SaaS providers today that are supposedly incorporating AI, and it's really shiny, and I think a lot of people are attracted to that. But again, just going back to what we were just talking about, don't fix what isn't broken. That's the way that I look at it. And if you get too complex with any part of the management of an account, you tend to, I have experienced, introduce unnecessary complexity, and the risk return, if you will, or the diminishing marginal returns for that usually aren't there. I try to just take a step back and say, okay, let me look at this as a whole. Is there somewhere else that I could be better spending my time or money or strategic thought?
I completely agree. I think that's the key is, especially in an industry that moves as quickly as it does, instead of fixing, the 1% that's not broken, why don't we focus on things like the new sponsored brands, vertical video creation, or why don't we start diving into some of the no-code AMC because it's easily accessible. Or I'll have a brand, I have had multiple brands reach out, they'll request a really complicated AMC query. They want us like, hey, it's part of our audit. Like, can you run this AMC analysis? And I'll hop into their account, Dustin, and it'll be the worst PPC setup I've ever seen in my life. And I have to be the bad guy that comes to them. Well, you don't have to be, but I feel like in honesty and transparency, you have to be like, look, we need to focus on improving your Amazon advertising, your PPC, before we even talk about AMC. But no one wants to hear that.
Right. There's a sense of FOMO, which is totally justified. I mean, I've been a seller and an account manager, so I know you want to incorporate all the newest and latest and greatest.
Yeah.
But building the good foundation, the good nomenclature, the good segmentation of campaigns, solid bid ops, a solid process for the basics is always going to be more beneficial rather than trying to focus on something like doing AMC queries when they may not even help you that much.
100%. It's the balance. Build the foundation. Don't overcomplicate the foundation, as we've mentioned, and focus on your time on, some of the things that are going to drive value, some of the first mover advantage opportunities. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned being in the space for 7 years now. Well, this has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for hopping on, as per usual. And for anyone who takes the chance to listen to this, has any questions, always feel free to drop them in the comments. We are very happy to answer anything and very excited to see what else you come up with in the next 12 months.
Yes, 100%.
Amazing. Thank you.
My pleasure.